Okay. So today's topic is first to solve the problem, a particular problem we will solve using MATLAB. Okay. That we will see. This problem we discussed in the last class, which was to find out the change in angle between two lines PQ and QR. Okay. Their direction cosines are given before deformation, and after deformation what will be the angle between these two deformed lines that we will determine. Okay. And here the problem we will be solving by using linear strain displacement relations. We will be using these equations, okay, in our MATLAB code. And note that instead of these linear relations, we can also use the nonlinear relations which we obtained in our analysis. Then we obtained the green strain basically. So whatever, in our problem solution we will be using these linear relations. Okay, that's the thing. Let us first go into the MATLAB and see the code for solution of this problem. Okay. So here this is the MATLAB window. You note last time we discussed up to version 5 of stress analysis problem. So this was our code, version 5 of stress analysis code, and we added something there, module stress transformation, that was incorporated. We have already discussed about this particular stress analysis code. So for strain analysis a similar code is generated. Okay. You could have continued with this, okay, but to keep the code little bit short, here another code is generated for strain. Okay, the initial part you know. The result is written in a file. I have named the file as result2 because earlier we already had a file which was result. Okay, or say this is result 1, this was analysis of stress, this is file 2 or result 2, analysis of strain. That part is clear. Then result 2. Okay. So from where? So this part you understand what it will do. Anyway, file writing, this is not a formatted writing, you understand here. When we will be writing anything in our result file, that means in result.2, we will not be using we are using some formatted statement, and here we have used 6.2, and that is why we will get only 2 significant digit in our result. Okay. In your calculation you might get 4, 6 or more number of decimal digits. So that way what you have to do is you have to change this part to make it 6.4, 6.5, etc. You will get so many number of significant digits. And in addition, in our code we have used format long. Format long means we will get say some at least 8 number of significant decimal digits in our result. Okay. So now let us go into the problem. In the problem, first the direction cosines of two lines are given. Those are designated as nx, ny, nz of the first line and nx, ny, nz for the second line. So So understand they are nx1, ny1, etc., etc. And then we have created two vectors. Okay, they are direction cosines for line 1, direction cosines for of this is second line. Mistake, just copy it there. This is of second line. Anyway, it's understand this is comment. Okay. And then what we did, we have created subroutine, or you can say a function which is find angle. And you recall that in our stress analysis program also we had such a module to determine angle between the outer or principal stress along outer normal, the traction vector and the direction of the vector n, that part we calculated here, right? The angle between our resultant stress vector or this t vector, okay, this is our traction vector, and direction cosine of the right line, okay. That is what we are now using here, okay, in a function. So find angle function, let us see what is that. So this is the function. So this n1 and n2 means they are the two vectors containing direction cosines of line 1 and line 2. And this is what we are making from n1, okay. The alpha, beta and gamma values of line 1, here again alpha, beta and gamma value of line 2, clear. And what next? Cos theta, where theta is the angle between these two lines 1 and 2, that is given by this nx1 into nx2 plus ny1 into ny2, that part is clear.
Yes.
And what is theta now? Cos inverse of this cos theta, this is cos theta, say T for theta, Cs for cos, okay. And this a cos is an inbuilt function in MATLAB which provides cos inverse, okay. So cos inverse of cos theta, this is theta only, and this theta is given as output. So this function will return the angle, and obviously this angle will be in radian, okay, that you understand, default output value of any MATLAB function. So this one, what we are getting here, theta, this is the radian value of the angle between these two lines, line 1 and line 2. They are referred by their direction cosines. Now what? In our result, we will see this value, okay, in degree, right? And to convert that, we had a inline program, right? This is the thing we already discussed this thing earlier. Okay. So any value in radian, if you multiply by 180 divided by pi, you get the value in degree. So this is radian to degree, an inline function. So what this will give? This will give the theta value. Okay. Let us see up to this. If we run this program and see the result in our screen, okay, the value is also written, okay, in the result file. Okay, direction cosines are written, then this value of theta is also written there. Okay. But here let us see what are the values in the screen here. Okay. Let us run this program. Now Here you see this is the value. Okay. So that means 35.264389 whatever the value. So you get so many, I think, how many are there? About 16 digits, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then in our result 2, there also you will get that particular value. Okay. Direction cosine of line 1, line 2, angle between these two directions, Z1 and M2 directions before deformation is 35.26, but actually we are getting this thing. So why only 2 digits are available here? Because this is what we have used. We could have used 6.4, 6.4 here, you would get more number of digits. That you can do yourself. Okay, this part is clear. Let us again suppress this. Okay. Now, what next? The next part is here. See, this is the problem. Okay. This for these two lines, these are the direction cosines which were given.
Yes.
Now, what we have to do is we have to find out change in the direction cosines of these two lines. Okay, why these directions will change? Because they are in a displacement field. This displacement field is given. Okay. And this displacement field will produce a strain at this particular point. P is given at this particular point. We can find out what are the strain values from the displacement field using these relations.
Yes.
So that is what we will calculate now. That part is clear. So take a note, what are the values of displacement field, what are the relations. Okay. So this is what is done now in our MATLAB code. Okay. So up to theta this is fine, and then that theta value we have written in our output file. The next part is the calculation of strain, a linear relation. These are the coordinates of that particular point, x, y, z values are given in the problem.
Yes.
Okay, this is displacement field. This was given x square plus y into I vector plus y plus z into j vector. Okay, that is what was there. And then what are these values? This is what is ux here? This is our ux, this is uy, this is uz. So what does it indicate? Del ux del x. Okay, partial derivative of this ux with respect to x. What it will be? 2x. So this is 2x. Okay. So accordingly, we formed these strain components. Okay. So for that, once again you check these are the relations. Okay.
Yes.
So this will give us the strain tensor. Okay. So this is our strain tensor. Clear? And actually the cross strain terms are also equal. You can check that this is 0 and this is 0. Okay. So if duy dz is 1, then where is our duz dy value? And
duz by dz.
First let us run this code, see what is this strain tensor. Okay, let us see this in our screen. right? Let's run the program. So these are the values. So is it a symmetric one?
Yes.
Hmm?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, this is not symmetric. Hmm?
Sir,
Should it be symmetric or not? It should be symmetric, is it not?
this is not a stress tensor matrix because the gamma xy is not equal to del u x by del y. This is half of del u x by
Ah.
del y plus del u y by del x.
That is true. And that is why this is not basically, but what was there in our this is the thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that is why here, so this part calculation of gamma values, strain tensor values are not calculated following these relations, right? So this part is missing from there, and what that part of correction is required as such. Okay. So that is one of the modifications required. So these are only the derivative part, but to make this strain tensor we have to calculate those. According to this, we have to calculate and take half of that as epsilon x y. Okay, anyway, that part we need to modify in this MATLAB code. Okay, whatever, let us take this for now. We are not making that, will take some time. Let us take this is our strain tensor, and if this is given, if a strain tensor is given, what next? We know that this epsilon pq, this is given by this relation.
Yes.
So what it is actually, you see, if we have a vector for direction cosines nx, ny, nz, and then we have a strain tensor, right? From this we can, from these values we can form strain tensor.
Yes.
Then what is this value? Say this is vector v, okay, then this t is our strain tensor, and then we have to use v inverse, right? So you check the dimension, say v is 1 into 3, right? Then our this t tensor, this is 3 into 3, and then we have this v inverse will be 3 into 1. So what we will get from here? The particular value 1 by 1. This is our epsilon pq. To understand that? Okay, that is what is done in MATLAB code. Okay, so what is that v vector actually? This is the vector of the direction cosines.
Yes, sir.
So that we created already. Here we had this vector dCn1 and dCn2. They are the vectors of direction cosines of the two lines. Okay. So that we are using, okay, for line 1, this vector into strain tensor, although there is some error in calculation of strain tensor. Okay. But say this is the strain tensor. So what is that one? Strain T. Okay, this is strain tensor. And what is our epsilon pq for line 1? This direction cosine vector 1 into 3, this tensor 3 into 3, and this into this inverse of direction cosine vector 3 into 1. It will be 3 into 1, and this is 1 into 3 into 3 into 1. So we are getting everything. We are getting this epsilon pq value. Okay. Let us check. If we run this program, So this is epsilon PQ value, right? This is what we will get. Okay, that part is done. Okay, whatever. Now what next? Similarly, we can also calculate what is this epsilon PQ for line 2. We had another direction cosine vector
Yes, sir.
for the second line. So the same thing is done here. These results are also written in the result file, output file. So that is what I can see here. This strain tensor, strain of line 1, strain of line 2, although there would be some error in these values. Okay. Now you note one thing, in the problem itself, right, it is given that these values, okay, they are micro values. Okay. So there is a multiplier k which is 10 to the power minus 3. So that part we didn't consider in our strain tensor, but when we are writing the result, that part is considered. Okay, 0.001.
Sir, this is 0.001, not 0.00.
1 by 1000 is how much?
0.001.
Oh, there is one extra zero, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, but in our calculation, what we did, epsilon PQ, this is the thing, epsilon PQ1. So that part is our division only. Actually, that will not make any difference because this result, okay, what is this result? You see, this part is not part of calculation. It is swing like this.
Yes.
You see, this value is, so it is 0.0001 is written, but these values will remain same actually.
Yes, sir.
So that way, if we run this once again, what we will get, that 0.0001 will get changed, it will become 0.001.
Yes.
Let us see, we have run that one. So this should change.
Yes.
Okay, so this has changed. Anyway, but afterwards we have to take care of that, and you see there it is divided by 1000. Okay, so that way this is not going to make any change in our calculation.
Yes.
Whatever, but that k value you need to take into consideration. Some other problem, it might be 10 to the power minus 4, minus 5, whatever. Okay, so that part is clear. How far we have proceeded? We calculated epsilon values for the two lines. Okay, what next? Afterwards, what is there? This calculation is done. Next part is we have to find out what are the changes of direction cosines, right? This changes of direction cosines, actually it comes from these relations.
Yes.
Okay, we already discussed about these things. So if we calculate these things, actually here we require these things, right? So
So it is better to change these equations, distance equation.
it is better to change. That is true. So you see, what we require is to change this strain tensor calculation part, that will get changed, but these values, okay, these are the calculation for nx1 prime, ny1 prime and nz1 prime. That means this is calculated following, see, following these three set of equations, right. So, that way calculation of nx1 primed, ny1 primed, nz1 primed. This is for line 1.
Yes.
That part is okay, right.
Yes, sir.
And here you see this component, these are the strain components, they are divided by 1000 here. Okay, that part is clear. But in our epsilon PQ calculation, there is some error which is coming due to the faulty calculation of our strain tensor, this one. This strain tensor would be somewhat different here. Okay. Okay, that is there. So, this is calculated, and for the second line, now you also note that with this changed values or deformed, for the deformed line, the values of nx1, ny1, nz1, they are stored in another vector. This is dCn or direction cosine of line 1 primed. Primed means the deformed configuration. Okay. So, the same thing we will do for line 2. Okay. So, the calculation part you have to take note of this thing. They are following these equations. Okay. This part you have to check actually. Okay. Now, what we have we obtain this dCn2 primed, so direction cosines of second line after deformation, and then we will calculate the angle between these two deformed lines. We had already had a subroutine for that, and that is what we did. Okay. So, these are the results, writing of the results in our output file. So, afterwards these are the strain of direction cosines after deformation, second line after deformation, and then we can calculate the angle between those two lines after deformation. Okay. So, that part is done here, the same subroutine. Now, that subroutine is called with two different arguments, that means these are the direction cosines of the lines after deformation. So, this is what we are getting as return value, that is converted into degrees, the same thing, and this is written in the file. Okay. So, this much is the program here, although with some error is there. Okay. So, this part you understood. Some modification is required in this result, but whatever, let us see. So, this is the solution for this particular problem, but once again note that we have used linear strain displacement relationship. We could have solved this particular problem using our nonlinear means, using this particular relationship for our normal strain and shear strain. So, in that case we would get some changes in the values. This angle between the two line segments would have been somewhat some other values we will get, and this change again depends on the order of this thing. That means, what is the value of the gradient at that point, that dictates the change. So, understand that part, and what we did in our previous lecture, we discussed about principal strains and principal directions, right. We have a problem also. What?
MATLAB ভিডিওটা কি সেপারেট করবেন আপনি বলছেন?
Which one?
দিস ওয়ান স্যার ক্লাস অ্যান্ড MATLAB এর ভিডিওটা কি আলাদা করে করবেন না একটা ভিডিও?
No, this video you will get in YouTube. Huh? Okay. So this is part of our lecture basically. Although we are explaining MATLAB today, not the theory proper, but again this is a part of your coursework, is it not? So you will get this lecture. Okay, so what next? Next we had a problem on principal strain, principal directions, right? That part. So this was after that. Okay, this is how we derived the principal strain. Remember that, right?
Yes,
We took derivative with respect to nx, etc., etc. And then we got a cubic equation. Now this time with in terms of some e value, this epsilon value. And this cubic equation again has three invariants. They are the invariants of the strain equation. So that is why, and this is the problem. Okay. So a displacement field is given at a particular point. You calculate what are the strain. So here again the problem can be solved by using linear relations and non-linear relations. And from there we will get the strain tensor. From that strain tensor we will find out what are these invariants, we will solve the equation. Okay. So that part we are not discussing in MATLAB code. Okay. Why? Because you see, in this is the MATLAB code for strain analysis, but previously we had a code for stress analysis. Okay. And in this stress analysis we had this portion of calculation of principal stresses. So this part would be identical for even for strain analysis. This part would be identical.
Yes, sir.
The subroutines, other things, they are available. So that is why in connection with strain analysis we are not showing that part. Okay, you would be able to develop your code for that, and it is better you do it of your own. You will practice the thing also, you will get confidence. That part is clear? Okay. So this is fine. Now what next? Okay, up to this point we discussed, right? Now there is an idea of cubical dilation, or this is called volumetric strain. Okay. When we discussed about types of strains, we discussed principal strain or normal strain, shear strain. There was a volume strain also, right? So that volume strain we get from this concept. Say we have a body, say for point P, say at this point is P, 3 1 minus 2. Here we have a strain tensor.
Yes.
So corresponding to that, if we consider three lines PQ, PR, PS, which are mutually perpendicular, and say they are oriented along principal directions. In that case, what will happen? These changes of these lines, or you can say we can locate what are the change location of P prime and Q prime. That would be possible. From those coordinates we can find out what is delta x prime, delta y prime, delta z prime, and if we multiply them, that will give us this changed volume V prime, which we can say is the original volume plus a change in volume. Okay. So, this is, if we take this part, this V is written as this D means a delta, okay. We represent volume change as delta, this delta, okay. This is represented as D here. So, we express this thing as D into this delta x, delta y, delta z, and here also if we take this V as common, this is 1 plus delta V by V, okay. So, that would be the thing. And you see here, if this is along the principal direction, if we calculate these things, this will give us this quantity with first keeping first order terms. These other terms, cross terms, they are small quantities, and again the product of small quantities we can neglect. So, this is what we are getting, okay. From this diagonal we will get this part only. The higher order terms we are neglecting. Now, what is this? This is 1 plus, this D is 1 plus delta V by V, right. So, ultimately this delta V by V is becoming this, that. Now, what is this quantity delta V by V? This epsilon x plus epsilon y plus epsilon z. This is the first invariant.
Yes.
Okay. So, now recall in connection with stress analysis, this was the representation of hydrostatic stress. So, similarly, this quantity is similar to a hydrostatic strain. We say this is uniform strain, and with this we can decompose our strain tensor in two parts. Okay, this is called the deviatoric part and this is called the uniform part. So, understand from these two parts what we say is that the deviatoric part, it does not change any volume.
Yes, sir.
And obviously this is the change in volume, okay. And afterwards we will see that there is a relation between hydrostatic stress and this uniform strain, okay. Actually their relation is given by that bulk modulus of rigidity. It comes from there, okay. This is clear. So, this is the idea, okay. So, for stress strain analysis, what ultimately we do when we go into failure theories and other theories, or theory of plasticity, okay, we decompose stress and strain tensors in deviatoric part and in uniform part. Then we take the hydrostatic stress and uniform strain in one part, the deviatoric stress and deviatoric strain in another part. So, that is how further analysis is carried out, which we will see afterwards in our theories of failure, which we will discuss afterwards when we will establish the stress and strain relations. Okay. So, that part, so this is something which comes from this deviatoric strain tensor. Okay. So, we will discuss this thing afterwards, okay, but this problem we are taking up now. Then the point is that, so this stress strain relations actually they are obtained from material properties. For different material, these stress strain relations are different. So, that is a function of the type of material for which we are using or discussing this stress strain relation. We will observe this thing first and then we will see there are theories of failure. So, these theories of failures are also a function of the particular material for which we are discussing this theory. So, this part we will discuss next, okay, but before that, this is what we were discussing. Now, afterwards there is another type of problem which is finding out the displacement field from the strain field. Okay. So, what we did up to this point, we calculated strain field from a given displacement field. Okay. So, this is displacement field given, this is the type of problem here. This is torsion of a circular rod. These are the displacement fields given like this. These are some of the constants, these things, that things. So, that calculation is easy.
Yes.
We will take derivatives of these things, this ABC, then E, F, K, they are constant, gradually they will become 0 after taking derivative of a constant quantity, they will become 0. That will not pose any problem as such in our calculation. I am not discussing this thing in detail. So, ultimately what we can do, we can find out the expression of epsilon xx, yy, zz and these shear strains also. But think about a problem where say the same strain field is given, epsilon xx 0, epsilon yy 0, epsilon zz is 0 and this gamma xy, this is also 0, gamma yz and zx, they are given like this. So, this tau here, they are a constant, as if a constant. We know this is the problem. So, for this particular problem, we know what is problem, and here this tau is the shear stress. Okay. So, for a particular value of torque, applied torque, I have a particular value of tau. Okay. So that will come here. Now, something. So, now our problem is to get back this uv and w field, this say ux, uy, uz or uv, w, this field from this strain field. If we carry out, see, we will get this particular values of UVW we can obtain from this, but what is missing here is these constants, right?
Yes, sir.
But they are significant because some part of them, they represent body displacement or rotation. So, that part is quite difficult and usually that requires some more information about the problem, which basically comes from the boundary conditions.
Yes, sir.
So, that part is also very important in this type of problem where we are getting displacement field from strain. So, domain knowledge is a very important aspect here. Unless you know about the problem, this will give you only a partial solution of the problem.
Yes, sir.
So, that sort of problem is given here, some of the problems are given here. This is for a 2D field. Okay. You see, this is a 2D field, epsilon xx, yy and xy is given. So, this type of field gives rise to this plane strain situation. So, what actually is a plane strain case.
Epsilon z z 0, gamma y 0.
That is true. There are some mathematical relations, but physically this plane strain situation occurs for very large or very long components, where that length is very large compared to the other two dimensions. Okay. For example, say we have a pipe, very long pipe, and we are considering a particular portion of the pipe. If the pipe length is very large, say when we analyze an aerofoil sort of structure in an aircraft, you know that the length of that wing is much larger. We take only a portion of that, and there we will take that the strain along the length direction, there is no change. It is a situation of plane strain. Or there are some cylinder pressure vessel applications where the ends are fixed, say within walls. In that case also, along the axis there is no change in length in the cylinder length. That is also a plane strain problem.
So in case of thick pressure vessel, the plane strain condition.
Plane strain condition will come if the end of the pressure vessel they are fixed. So that way we have seen the plate problem, that is a plane stress problem, it was there, and then there can be plane strain problem also. Okay, so for such a problem you have to find a solution, evaluate displacement in terms of 3 arbitrary constant of integration. It is given here. So anyway, you try to solve this problem, try to get back this particular displacement field. If you know that this is the field for the torsion problem of a circular rod, then you should get back these constants there. Okay, and additionally there is some more relations known as the compatibility relations. That means, you see, when we are finding out a strain field, say the strain field what we are obtaining here, these things are coming ultimately from a displacement field. So in such a situation, if there is a given displacement field corresponding to that, we are getting a strain field. So somehow this strain field is related somewhere. There is a displacement which is producing the strain. So the resultant strain values, they cannot be arbitrary.
Yes.
So if we note down those relations, these are the strain displacement relations which a given strain field has to satisfy. This is clear?
Yes, sir.
But now you see, such relations we don't have for stresses, right?
Yes.
And also you note these are the relations which we can obtain readily for linear strain displacement relations.
Yes.
So this is what we check sometimes. That means, given a strain tensor, say such a strain tensor is given. So this strain tensor cannot be arbitrary. So there, whatever be the strain tensor, it has generated from a displacement field. So these relations need to be valid. So that is what you will get in some problems. Still it is not written here. Thus that problem is so that zero body. Or here we have similar to this some problem where a strain field is given and you have to check that the compatibility conditions are maintained. Okay. So here again the point is all the components of the strain tensor cannot be arbitrary.
Yes, sir.
This is the logic. So in line of this, what we extend this is in the logic of stress function. We had a stress field, but if we have a stress field, can it be arbitrary?
No.
No, logically. But what is that quantity which is giving rise to the stresses? That is called stress functions. So this is not a physical quantity as such. So this is the construct by the mathematicians. It is mathematical construct. In 2D, you have used this Airy stress function in some problems. Okay. This has been mentioned probably in your solid mechanics or strength of materials course. There are some problems which you can solve by using these strength functions. This is for 2D plane, 2D stresses, plane stress. Similarly, their extension is there in 3D stress field. So obviously, one is not sufficient because from a single stress function you can generate these three quantities which are the three existing stresses in a plane. Okay, sigma x, sigma y and tau xy. In a plane they are the stresses only. But in case of a three-dimensional body you require 9, at least 6 stress components. There we use a stress function which has 3 components. This is a particular one known as Maxwell stress function. There are some other stress functions also. It is not mentioned here, but there are other stress functions as well. This is not the only stress function. So this thing will solve some problems using the idea of stress function. When we will go into solution of the problem, we will be using that. Okay, that is clear. Now from here what we discussed is basically strain displacement relation for this small strain small displacement analysis. And what we obtained is basically a relationship for large displacement quantity. So that relationship for large displacement, large strain somewhat, that we have also developed in the idea of Green strain. But what are those ideas? That we have to see in the analysis of true stress and true strain relation. But for that first we should establish the stress strain relation, which we will be discussing next. Okay, this is clear. So this was the remaining part of our strain analysis, and of course we didn't discuss about this Eulerian and Lagrangian concept. So we may come back, but first we need to complete the syllabus part. Okay. So next lecture would be on stress strain relations and material properties. So let's stop here today.